Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Katrina Rasbold and Friends. And Corbie, welcome back to Katrina Rasbold and
Hey,
Friends.
girlfriend. Love to see
So
that we're
glad.
working for the same airline today. Both of us
I
aren't
know,
busy.
right? None of us, neither one of us should walk into Walmart or people will be asking us where shit is all day long.
Please, please. But it's when I was working in an office, all the women's menstrual cycles would meet, and we'd all come in the same color. You don't. It's just this
Hive mind,
radio stuff.
man.
It is hilarious.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Of course, most of you know, because if you've been following and if you followed my life, basically, this is my very dear friend, Corbie Mitleid. I'm so glad that she's here. Corbie is an internationally recognized and 100% certified psychic and author and oracle. And I'm just trying to hit all of the labels, darling.
She is the no bullshit psychic. That is all you
That's
have
it.
to know.
And that's not just cute words. That's your project.
It is my new branding, and boy, does that people love that. They're really tired of love and light and unicorn farts, but they don't want to get scared with "I see your death." So it's right there.
Uh,
Smartest thing I ever did.
well, it's a good one. It's a good one. And tell them how that is manifesting. Where can they find you?
um, the two places that I play the most now: TikTok, under the No Bullshit Psychic, and I'm on there 3 or 4 times a week. Every Wednesday night we do Cafe Corby, which is the learning hour. It's like we're all sitting around in a bar with drinks. And then yes, I do free reading hour on Thursday nights. That's all the things like, does Bruce love me and am I going to get a job? So there you go on that.
And
The
you have a growing following there too. It's
22 freaking thousand people.
isn't that crazy?
It is nuts. It
That's
is nuts.
wonderful. Good for you.
And the other thing is Patreon. Right now I have two small classes, and when I say small, they're like a dozen. And I do that so that they become tribe. We can all work together. But I do have other tiers, Mad High Pro and Raven for other work with me and articles and meditations and stuff like that. So, and of course, there's always the website. You want to read it with me? Go to CorbieMitleid.com. I'm usually there.
And we'll have that link down there in the description for you folks so that you can easily find all of that.
Thank you.
And so you aced our first 8 questions and got 100% on that test. So
Wow.
we are going to buzz through the next 8 unless you have anything you want to share, promote, or bring up before we get started.
Oh, I'll leave that till the end. This is the good stuff. Let's play
This
with
is good stuff. This is real good. I've got to come up with another 8 questions because I need to get you back again. And
Okay.
we do pretty well if we're given a topic, but then we talk about everything but the topic and throw in the topic in the last 10 minutes. So
What about one on the no shit there I was for all the most outrageous stories of people we've ever read?
oh boy, isn't that some kind of fake HIPAA stuff? I guess
No,
don't use names.
no. If a person's name is John and I refer to him as Ralph Aloysius, no one's going to know.
Yeah, redact. Okay, so here's a good one, and I think I know what my answer to this would be for you. What do
Mhm.
you like best about where you live now?
Best is the fact that we can't see our neighbors, and I'm in the middle of a 12-acre hayfield. Because when you were on the road as much as I was, 45 weekends a year for 18 years, it's like people eat. So now, I mean, my neighbors are sheep. I don't even see them. And it is magnificently peaceful. The fact that we get 4 whole seasons is also not a bad thing.
That is a very East Coast benefit there.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is.
So, do you think now I have always been people aversive
Mm-hmm.
to the point that this darling woman, Beverly Bodker, who was um, the teacher's aide for my kids' school.
Mm.
She would set up play dates for me against my will with other moms. So I had someone to put on my emergency contact form. Even though I assured her I never leave my house, I will always answer the phone. Now, this is back in the world of landlines, and I will be there. She wanted me to have somebody in that space. So she would set up the world's most inappropriate play dates for me with completely incompatible people. But Corbie, you okay? Okay.
We have a wood stove, so the air is very, very
Same
dry.
here.
That's all.
Same here. So I was just a hermit then, and I thrived being alone. And I wonder, it seemed like back then that was more of an anomaly. Do
Mhm.
you think it was COVID that made people more anti-people, or do you think it was just a natural progression, or do you think I just didn't realize how anti-people people were, or what do you think?
Mm-mm. I think that what you're talking about with the telephone, that's very practical magic. If you remember, they finally got Sally at the top of them. Um, but I think that COVID started it. But the other thing is, the world, at least in the US, is so much more violent and dangerous. We're all
Yeah,
being surveilled. You don't know who's taping what, that it is easier just to control your own little bubble.
I agree. Also, empathically, for people that are sensitive to energy,
Mhm.
going to town for groceries feels like you're getting beaten. And just
Yes.
all of the anger and frustration and fear that's out there is just,
And when you used to be so friendly, you could talk to fire hydrants, which was
yeah.
me. These days, especially in our county with concealed carry and blah, 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 you're very careful. And I'm not
Oh,
used to
sure.
having to be careful.
That's true. That's true. So, what is your favorite meal?
It was specific meal. It was at the American Hotel under their first owners, Garth and Doug. They closed in 2021. Now it's reopened with somebody else. But what they did was they served gorgeous filet slices, beef tenderloin. But over that, they did a lobster sauce with really huge chunks of lobster. Lobster's my thing, baby. But Carl has this thing about ew bugs. So for me to dissect an entire lobster in front of him, it's like, you slurping down a snake in front of me.
Nope.
So no, 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 no.
No.
So it was that. And then Garth made the most amazing maple cake. And it was a maple cream cheese frosting. Diet after freaking win. I don't care, man. You know, they can bury me with a slice of the maple cake and the beef with the lobster, and I would be fine in the afterworld. God, that was wonderful.
That was very specific.
Very specific. If you're going general, for me, it's lobster, really good fresh baked bread,
Hmm.
strawberry shortcake. There you go.
What was the last thing?
Strawberry shortcake.
Oh, that's so nice.
But you got to do it with the real Southern biscuit stuff. None of these flimsy cake things.
Now,
Biscuit,
I love
strawberries,
specific.
big
That
time.
was great, but general sounds really good too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you had me at tenderloin, and
Mhm.
then you put bug on it, and so no. But I have always talked about some seriously expensive tastes that I don't get very often. I
Mhm.
just love a fillet. That is my jam.
Mhm.
It is just the perfect cut, and if it's cooked just right, and a baked potato or mashed potatoes, I'm so happy. I'm just pig and shit happy.
Yeah, when we go to Outback, exactly. That's what I do.
I've been wanting to check and see if our Outback is still even open. I haven't
Really.
been there in so long. It's in another town. It's in a few towns over, so I
Mhm.
haven't checked it out lately. But What's funny is I just yesterday was looking through some old photos and found one of Eric in Outback. Not the Outback, but the Outback.
Mm-hmm.
So, what this boy, I think this might be a long question. What's your dream time like?
Weird.
Yeah.
I know I dream. I absolutely dream. Most of the time it's in color. There are certain themes which I know are when I work things out. Meeting and being friends with certain celebrities that I gravitate toward. It's not, like, oh, squee, I adore them. But Angelina Jolie for a while, because I really admire her. She stands up for herself. She's working to do things in the world. John Denver used to be an old favorite. Um, I forget who is showing up these days. Oddly enough, um, the past month I've been having a couple of dreams about somebody from my high school class,
Wow.
who is now in his field extremely famous, and that's Eric Goldberg. Eric is a brilliant animator. He's the one who designed the genie for Aladdin and directed Pocahontas. I mean, and I think there was a crush him to me in high school because of all of the drawings that we have from him. We have some genuine Eric Goldberg framed art. But I generally don't remember them much, except there was one that I dreamt that I had to write down about 3 weeks ago. There was a pulse that was going to end the world at 5:33 this weekend. It's why my friend had to go to Hawaii for a week. She and her husband completely believed this. Apparently, they discovered it through some new translation or understanding of the book Lolita. Now, the Lolita thing has to probably be because of all the Epstein stuff. And
Sure.
maybe the other is because of the 3-eye atlas, whatever. But I didn't wake up scared, but it felt very profound. So I wrote that down, and I'll see what that could have meant. But that's how I dream. I'm weird.
Is that Eastern time?
Probably.
That's what I figured.
So that would be what, 2:30 in the morning your time?
Yeah.
Did you have an earthquake recently?
Don't know. Well, that's my pee time.
Ah.
And it is now also coincidentally Bruce's pee time. And Bruce has decided that that's his time to go on walkabout when I let him out to pee. So he has to go run the fields and then come back. So I end up being awake for a little bit at that time, waiting for him to come back in.
Right.
And so I haven't noticed anything, but I will be around if it does happen.
There you go.
I just might be peeing. Yeah. So yeah, keep me posted if you see anything. And if anything tragic happens, we can always high five in the ether or something.
That's fine. But somehow I do not believe that the earth, like Yellowstone is not going to explode and California is not going to fall into the ocean kind of thing.
So far, so good on that. If it does, I hope I at least get some oceanfront property instead of just floating away. So
surf.
That's an Eric thing. I would drown. So, this is a good one. What animal they're all good because I wrote them, or I wouldn't have them on the list. What animal do you most relate to and or enjoy the most? Because those could be different things.
Oh, you have to ask.
Yeah.
Cats, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Maine Coons specifically. I've been a Maine Coon mom cat for 40 years. And there are no cats like Maine Coons.
No, they're so talky. Oh my gosh.
And hilarious. They're clowns. They're social. They'll glad hand you. Right now, our youngest, Kit Peak, otherwise known as the Rumpus Child, he has this mad love affair with food. When he knows you're going into the kitchen for Gick time, which is the little yogurty things with a little drop of their CBD oil in it, he goes running through the legs, and he'll stand up on the counter, and he'll go headbutt purr, headbutt purr. And he knows that we keep our spare cans of wet food in my bedroom closet. So whenever he sees me going down the hall, he runs to the bedroom and sits in the closet and meows at the food.
Oh,
Mama, tea time? Tea time, can I have this one today, Mama? So yes.
How many Maine Coons have you had?
Well, my first one was Hawkeye Purrs, and he was in 1985. So there was Hawkeye.
I get that reference. I don't know how many other people will, but I do.
Mash. Well, yeah. the rescue that we bought to be his buddy was BJ Honeycuddle.
Of course it was.
He was ginger. So 1, 2, 3. Then we got 3 before Oswald the First. We got him in Georgia. And then we got Oswald the Second up here, Oswald the Great, Baron Manfred. And now we have Prawn, who was our Britain kitten who became a New Yorker, and Kit. So 7 or 8.
Nice.
But the way we got Oswald the First, this was in Georgia, and I went to the cattery, and more than one cat had gotten pregnant. Somebody went out on a blind date, but they were all in the cattery, so they were all purebreds. And so I went into the rompy room, and there were 15 of them, little banana crazies. And I sat down and I said, okay, there's a job opening in Marietta. Who wants it? One of these little guys broke from the pack, climbed up my shirt, and bit my nose. I said, this is my boy.
That's the one.
That's my boy. And Hart's partner, through divorce, remarriage, and cancer, the night we had to give him his ticket across the bridge, swollen because I'd been crying so hard. But that night, I dreamt about him. He was about 10 pounds when he died, lost all his weight. In the dream, he was 20 pounds, hale and hearty. And there was a little boat in the Boston Common on the river. And he jumped in, tucked himself into the prow, turned like a dog, and sat. All of a sudden, I literally jackknifed up in bed, suffused with joy. And I heard, Mom, thank you so much. That body sucked. I'm so glad to be out of it. But I promise I'm coming home. Wait for me. Okay. So there was a great animal communicator that we worked with at that point. She pinpointed which breeder and which litter. And I said, how am I going to know which one he is? She says, he says he has it handled. So that day I go, and there's this pile of kitten. You can't see heads or tails. They're all sleeping together. He's going to have the same name. So I sit about 6 feet away and I call him. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. 3 of them didn't move. One of them, head shot right up, sped over to me, sat in my lap like, where the hell you been? We get him home. He goes and naps in his favorite spot, old favorite spot, says hello to the 2 cats that would have known him, and the Maine Coon we'd gotten in the meantime, ate out of everybody's food dish, and then said, okay, I'm home.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's not coming back a third time. We lost him in 2020, but he is apparently a protector of the house. We very often see his energy romping around in the hayfield, and once or twice he's come in and scared the piss out of Carl, because Carl does not see. But Harley, our little rescue we got after him, has met him. When he stares fixedly at the wall and we can't move him, obviously he's having a conversation with Oswald.
In 1978, I sat across the aisle from Mike Farrell on a flight from Louisville to San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It was in coach, too.
Wow.
Now, I didn't realize that's who it was. I was 16 and I was flying to Guam.
Mm-hmm.
And so Louisville was where I was leaving out of. And I sat down, this guy's over there, and I recognized him immediately as somebody I knew, but I couldn't get a name. I couldn't get a context for how I knew this person. And at 16, when you've been in Kentucky your whole life, you just aren't thinking you're going to see somebody from, that wasn't even on my radar. So I thought it must have been a friend of my parents or something, or somebody from church that I just had, couldn't place who it was. And so I started talking to him, and I was a little confused that he didn't know who I was. And he was drinking enormous amounts of coffee the entire flight. He kept, back then there were stewardesses, but he kept ringing the stewardess for more coffee. And I said, "You got to stay awake." He said, "Yeah, I got a job in Sacramento that I've got to hit as soon as I get there." And I said, "Oh, you're flying through to San Francisco?" And he said, because back then Sacramento, we couldn't get a straight shot to Sacramento from Louisville. And he said, "Yeah, I'm hitting San Francisco, and then I'm going to Sacramento." And we just kept talking, and he kept looking at me in this way of, who is this and how do they know me? And I'm trying to figure out who he is. And I'm trying to drop context ideas, and he's not picking it up. So finally he gets off the plane. And one thing that was different is he had a beard. This was the season that Honeycutt grew a beard.
Yeah.
And so that also got in the way of me recognizing. And so he got off the plane, and I decided to stay on because this one was just refueling and carrying on to Hawaii. And I happened to reach down and pick up the in-flight magazine. There was an ad for MASH. And I was like, "What the fuck?" And it was too late. So, yeah. Anyway.
I never met anybody famous like that, but this is hilarious. My brother, who was a pulmonologist, at one point found himself sitting next to Steven Tyler.
Wow.
And they had a very good medical conversation because that was when Steven's problems were starting.
Yeah.
And he just want my brother for information. Now Hank was pediatric pulmonology, but lungs are lungs.
Lungs are lungs.
So there you go.
Interesting. So what are... I'm afraid to ask you this because I know a couple of the answers. So just go with what feels best to you. What are the best and worst jobs you've ever had?
The worst job I ever had was the job that was just before I did this full time. And that was working for a woman who owned a small boutique headhunting firm. All right. Now, I give this woman tons of credit. She bought a temp firm for $5,000 in 1978. Single mom, 3 kids, high school education. She's now a multimillionaire and legendary downstate. But if she didn't like what I told her, she would throw a file at my head. And she would tend to always find one reason why I was incapable of closing the deal. And of course, if she had to close the deal, she got the commission.
Wait, bookmark that. I need clarification. Yep. Do you mean that she threw a vertical office file at you, or she threw a nail file, or like a rasp? Or
No, I'd hand her a file and and say, "Here's the file on such and such. This is what I've done, but I don't think it's going to fit." Bang! That wasn't very good. Go back and do it again.
What do you think makes people behave that way? I can't imagine you behaving that way. I don't behave that way. Why do people behave that way? You're a great student of human nature, so you're
true. But with her, I think that she was so desperate to prove herself as better than anyone else because only high school education, blah, 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 that all of us had to make her look good. So,
Wow.
That was the worst. Best one? Hands down, working for Warp Graphics and ElfQuest with Wendy and Richard Peeney. I did a lot of emotional growing up with them. So there have been times when it's really worked and times when, Wendy, who is a bit of a spiritual mentor, and I went like this. But
she didn't throw files at you.
Oh, God, no. God, no. But it's like we just had brunch with them at the new version of the American, toasting the 42nd anniversary of when I started work for them, November 1st, 1983. They stretched my understanding of how to write well. One of my giggles is at the end of the original quest, Wendy was putting the elves in armor. And I knew from the SCA, you don't put them just in the metal. So I talked to her about padding, blah, blah, blah. And so now the elves had padding their armor. I thought, yes. I have been able to create characters in the ElfQuest universe that are canon. Ember's life mate, Tyr, Larigan, the hunter, Angus Jun, who was a big villain for a while. So it let me write. It showed me how to organize things. That's why now I can run my business as a business, because Richard was brilliant at teaching me how a business should be run. And I had an absolute blast. It was one of those things that, it's a once in a lifetime thing. And how I got the job is hilarious. I met Richard at a con, and we started talking, blah, 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 blah. And I mentioned that I typed 100 words a minute, which I did on old-fashioned typewriters. They happened to be looking for somebody new to help them. I was working for a law firm, but I wasn't really happy. I was living at home. So one thing led to another, and I moved up from Cherry Hill to Poughkeepsie. And it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Not only was it a great job, but it got me 2 lifelong friends.
You can't beat that for French benefits.
For
friends benefits. So maybe that's why you relate so strongly to Brian Froud's Fairy Oracle, because that's the same world.
Yes. And it's also one of the other reasons that when I have a client who thinks they don't fit in the world and they're confused and blah, 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 I can look at them and say, all right, I want you to close your eyes. And I'm going to say 2 words. I want you to immediately tell me which one you resonate to. And I say it in the same tone of voice. Human. Other. And when they're other, the eyes snap open. It's like, oh my God, you see me. So yeah, ElfQuest taught me that it ain't just humans in the world, and respect for those other beings who are here maybe as foreign exchange students. We don't know.
So the next question, I know one answer to, because you just told us.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen a ghost? And if so, what happened?
I have never seen, like, beginning of Ghostbusters, they see the floating library. I've never seen anything like that. The way I know there's a ghost here is I'll see a heat shimmer, or out of the corner of my eye, I'll see some sparkles. And I will look over there and I'll feel the thickness in the air. But that is as much as I have ever seen a ghost. When I talk to them, I see them in here and can describe them, but I've never seen a classic floaty ghost.
What about your other senses? Have you heard them or smelled them or anything like that?
I know I've smelled them because 3 weeks after my mother died, my apartment was filled with the smell of emerald perfume, which I have never bought, never owned.
Oh, that's Avon, isn't it?
No, it was Cody.
Was it Cody? Oh, okay.
Cody's emerald. And I know I must hear them because when I'm reaching somebody's dead person, I'll say exactly what they have to say, which is why I don't do dead people in a gallery. It's not safe because I don't censor. When I hear my own, people say, how do you know it's not your own brain, it's the guides? Well, when I'm talking to myself in my head, it's dead center. When I hear my guides, it's off to the side. Did I plan it that way? No. Is that where they're standing? Maybe. I don't know.
It's very organized, though, and helpful.
Double Virgo.
That's right. There you go.
Yep.
So, what music, and I'm talking about the kind of music, the type of music, or very specific songs, would you say made up the soundtrack of your past?
Depends on the decades. When I was, your little hippie rebel actress in high school, it was Joni Mitchell, James Taylor, The Who. People would say Beatles or Stones, and I'd go The Who. In the 80s, it was definitely the Hooters in Philadelphia. Adored them. Um, had a situation with Eric Bazillion, which was my first understanding of past lives, which was very weird. Um, these days, I tend towards a lot of the ambient solfeggio stuff. If you go onto YouTube, it's Meditative Mind, it's Inner Lotus music, um, because they get me very settled and centered. When it comes to just house stuff and getting you going, I'll go back to the 80s. I've got one Pandora channel called 80s Get You Going, and it's just all over the map.
Wonderful. So, plane, train, bus, car, or boat, or something else?
I've never taken a cruise. I've never been on a boat really, so I have no idea if I'd get seasick. Um, plane if I can go first class.
I've never flown first class. My
Oh,
entire
I have a couple of times, but I've saved up for it. I would like to take a train one of these days cross country, if I had the time, and have a little sleeper. I loved the trains that I took in England. I mean, I had so many friends to visit over there, and they all owned Maine Coons. That's how I knew them. That I was going from London all the way up to York, Lancashire, up there. And it was very gray and misty. And we'd, right out the window, and I'd see the little sheepies, and I'm thinking, love it. Look, it's Masterpiece Theater.
Yeah.
But, I'd love trains that are as well kept as the ones in Britain and Europe.
Yes. And if you got off at Victoria Station in Piccadilly Circus, you might change that answer about whether or not you've seen a ghost, because those places are so dense. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, it's been inhabited for so much longer than any place here in terms of but it's not colonial, it's not urban, it's more densely populated because, of course, for thousands of years before the white folks got here, you had First Nations all over, but they were not concentrated bunches of people.
So we're going to go with plane first class. Enjoyed the train in London. The jury's out on a boat.
Yeah, because I have vertigo, which is why I don't have a pilot's license this time. I don't know how I'd be able to handle the boat. They used to do cruises to nowhere. They don't do them anymore from here. But I keep toying with the idea of up to Nova Scotia from New York, which would not be the crazy Caribbean weather.
Sure.
Could be. So
the first time we interviewed, there was a different last question than what I ask now. So you didn't get asked the last question that I now ask. And so we're going to do it now. So that is, if you could go back in time with full knowledge that you have right now and talk to your past self with the understanding that your past self would be receptive. They might not do what you want them to do, but they would at least listen. When would you go back to, and what would you say?
The reason I find that a tough question is because I know that the really dumb mistakes that I made were instrumental in making me who I am now, who I like very much. And it makes me a very good counselor for people. But if I knew it wasn't going to change the karma, I would go back and tell her that her body was fine as it was, and it didn't mean she had to put out for anybody who asked. That what her mother told her was absolutely incorrect.
I think that's good knowledge. I really like the remark that I can't remember who played the person, um, but it was the grandfather, and Peggy Sue got married. And so she's traveled back in time. She's her older self in her younger body. And she asked her grandfather, would you do anything different? And he looks real thoughtful and he says, I'd have taken better care of my teeth. I thought that is a great answer.
Mm-hmm. Practical. Let's hear it for practical.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't Walter Brennan. That was a decade before that. But who was the Quaker Oats guy?
Wilfred Brimley?
Wilford Brimley. Might have been him, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
So, great answer. I think that it would be great if we could all internalize that it's very possible that the things our parents told us were bullshit. And it's also very possible that we were just perfect the way we were.
Yeah. Next time.
Next time. For sure. Or we could just meet up earlier next time and make sure the other person gets that message.
Yes, yes. God help us if the two of us meet earlier next time. We will end up being ride or die. And
True.
get in so much fucking delightful trouble.
I'm just glad that you can be my ride or die now. So I'm grateful for that. And if we can hit it a few decades earlier next time, I'm way down. Let's do that. Yeah. So anything to add? Anything you want to pump up or anything?
Well, yeah, if people are on TikTok, go find me. I'm lots of fun. I know that I just posted on my website all the different things that I'm doing for holiday sales.
Oh, good. So
I'm even doing holiday raffle this year. It's fun.
Wow.
Because I post packages of stuff and it's not inexpensive. The deal is for every $50 you spend either on one of my holiday sales packages or a personal reading from now until December 30th, you get your name in what we're calling the Jingle Bowl. Jingle bell, jingle bell. And New Year's Eve, I'm going to pull from all of that 3 prizes. I'll put them least to most. You could get an ultimate numerology report, which is worth like $70. You could get a year's worth of free tuition into one of my Patreon classes. Or you could win a year's worth of free readings with me. Half an hour with me every month. That's like $1,800 value. So the nice thing is it's always the right size. I do it instantly by email, so it's not like it won't get there in time. Damn the post office. And it's a great way to introduce somebody to the kind of thing I do. So go look and have fun. There are even some stocking stuffers.
What a great plan. I love that. Now, you have done exceptionally well on TikTok. I barely have an account. I got an account because I wanted to follow my son's TikToks that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing some really cool ones. He's kind of laid off of it for a bit and focuses on his newsletter instead. But you've kind of owned TikTok. And TikTok was always really scary to me because of the TikTok witches. And it had I think because it's really attracts a lot of the younger people, mm-hmm. that it had a reputation for being very mean. And I don't do mean well, but you seem to have circumnavigated that. You got any tips and tricks?
It's how I did. Look, for years, I didn't want to do it either. I didn't. But once I came up with a way to differentiate myself from the meanies, or the ones that are, I call them the Bullwinkle style, all the jingling jewelry and crystals, eeny, meeny, chili, there are a couple on there. It's like, oh, please. Or the Love and Light unicorn frogs. I was good. One of the things that I do now is the weekly reading. And interestingly, I'm trying to see if I can pull the cards that I did this time. I don't read with just one deck. I will pull from All of them. All of them. And okay. For instance, this, and I always, it's not only a personal reading for you, take it for your personal life, but it's a little taste of the politics, which I refer to simply as the Washington Follies. So for instance, this week, what cards did we pull? First card was lighten up. Why lighten up? Well, because there are cracks in stuff and we're getting there. Next, well, look at this from the Spirit of the Wheel deck. Frog Clan, cleansing, releasing, and healing. Do we all remember the frog in Portland? We love our frogs. And it goes like that. So people love that. The idea that it's very practical for their own life, but it helps them thread the needle with what is going on in America these days. Without being so railing about it. It's just another political thing. So, and the other thing I think is Cafe Corbie. The thing I talked to about with Cafe Corbie is, look, I'm 70. I got to pass on the knowledge. This is how we're doing it. So I just show up at 7:30 Eastern every Wednesday night and open it up for questions. And sometimes people try the personal stuff. They say, no, this is how you figure it out. If the question you're going to ask me, everybody in the audience is going to be interested in, that's appropriate for tonight. If the question you ask, it's only mattering to you, that's tomorrow night. And people are asking some of the best questions in order to understand things. Yeah, they ask about Ouija boards or how do you get to your spirit guide? But there are also things like when you talk to someone who's passed over, are they always mad if they were mad before? So that talks about personality versus soul. And it's all over. And I have a blast doing that. I don't know anybody else on TikTok that's doing that. So if it's fun, I do it. Basically.
When we were, this was a fun thing. When we had the store, we tried to translate this out to YouTube and it just didn't work as well. But when we had the store, there was a time when our electricity went out. And we kept the store open. We just lit candles because we're a metaphysical store. We got some candles. Yeah. And so we just couldn't do anything more than cash sales. So we had a couple of gals come in. They're best friends and 40s kind of people. Mm-hmm. Not 1940s, but the age 40s. Mm-hmm. And they're still friends to this day. And this was the first year we were open. And one of them had a list of questions. And there was nobody else in the store. And I said, well, pull up a chair, sit down, let's ask you questions. And so we went through her list of questions. And she was a total newbie. She was just learning all the new stuff. And we went through all of these random questions. And we had such a good time that out of that, we developed a week, was it weekly? Monthly session called Conjure by Candlelight. And so we would go into, we had a room with no windows. We'd go into that room, have big tables set up, and we would light candles. And me, Gladys, and Debbie would sit there and answer questions of anybody that showed up. And sometimes we had 2 people, sometimes we had 20 people. I mean, it was just always random. But often, Mel, the gal that had the list, showed up with her list. And I still work with her magically to this day and love her to pieces. But she would always have this amazing list of all these questions. And I always knew I had material. Mm-hmm. And because a lot of times people didn't show up to ask questions, they showed up to listen to the answers of the random
other people's.
Everybody else. Yeah, they were the lurkers. They would contribute. And it was a round table. It wasn't just, Debbie and Gladys and I were there to answer questions if nobody else knew, but we would always say, does anybody else have anything to share on that? Mm-hmm. And so it was just this wonderful conversation. It was so much fun. So I can imagine Cafe Corbie's amazing.
And it's such a wonderful thing. They're not having to pay somebody to get this knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll teach and you'll pay for those classes. But here, it's just a gift. pass on the knowledge. And when you're an old crone like I am, you'll have a bunch of knowledge that you will want to pass on. And so maybe that's how we show them how to do it.
I love it. So everybody check the links in the description. That's going to get you to Corbie. That can get you to Cafe Corbie. That can get you to the weekly readings. That can get you to everything you want to find that Corbie does. And there's so much. We didn't even talk about books. Corbie's written books. And there's so many things that Corbie does that we didn't even get into that you're just going to love. So I'm going to post the links below. Be sure and check them out, because the whole point of doing his interviews is for you to get to know the people that I know and love. And we're just getting started. We've been doing this since, you know what? I don't even remember when. It's been a few months, but we've got more coming up. I'm excited that I get to interview Phoenix Oatfield this weekend. And I just interviewed Oberon Zell, who is a pioneer of American paganism.
He's still with us?
Oh my, I work for him. He's my boss at Green Egg.
Oh, okay.
But he was just fascinating. And what a talk to be able to have conversation with the person who chose the word pagan to identify me decades later, and who first labeled paganism out of a pejorative kind of word into mainstream conversation about people who are earth-based religion. And also he and his wife invented the word polyamory. And it was through an article she wrote called A Bouquet of Lovers. And she said, you know, if we're going to do this, if people are going to do this, they need to have rules, because we're not doing this right. And so she came up with guidelines for healthy polygamy. So it's just weird to sit there just wide-eyed and just watch this person talk about, yeah, we just decided we were going to be called pagans.
Yeah, you know, we were sitting around one day and we invented the wheel. It was just there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, to even know a person who invented a label that millions of people were going to endorse, it's just fascinating to me. So this has done so much for me. I've really loved this, and I love talking to you. And I hope you come back and see us again.
Absolutely, darling. Anytime.
Okay. Everybody, thanks for being here, and thanks for spending time with me and Corbie today. And look forward to seeing all of you, including Corbie, again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.